Raba, 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 raba.
Hi again. In this section of the course we're going to be looking at the logical framework approach. We'll look at the LFA itself, where it came from, what it is, and we'll be looking at the log frame, what are the different rows, the different columns, and how that works. And we'll wrap up by looking at the 10 steps to creating a log frame. So what is the LFA, or logical framework approach? Well, the LFA actually began a long time ago in the late 60s. In 1969 it was developed for USAID, and it was very quickly picked up on by other bilateral development agencies such as AusAid, NORAD, and GTZ, who developed it further as ZOPP, ZOP, Zielorientierte Projektplanung, which is German for Objectives Focused Project Planning. The log frame now is so widespread in its use that it's almost guaranteed you would be required to create one when you're submitting any kind of proposal or project plan to donors. It's also a great way of testing the validity of your project to make sure that it actually works, that the internal logic holds true. And we'll look at the logic as we progress through this section. So what is the logical framework approach? The LFA is a methodology that's used by NGOs and donors for identification, design and planning, the implementation, monitoring and evaluation of development projects. Now, I'm sure you know what a log frame is, a logical framework. It's not the same thing as the LFA. The log frame is the end result of the process. And the aim of the process is to actually create a project that delivers positive results for our target communities and end users. But let's look at the log frame first. First, we can see it's a table, 4x4, 4 rows, 4 columns. And it's a snapshot, it's a summary of the project. And each row, the activities, the outputs, the outcome, and the impact, describe different types of events as the project progresses over time. It also makes the results chain of the project explicit. It shows us the project inputs, the operations or activities, and the results, the output, outcome, and impact. Through the indicators and means of verification, the log frame identifies for us how we're going to measure our progress and achievement of results, the monitoring and evaluation, indicators and means of verification. And in the fourth column we have the external factors, the project context, things that could affect the project's success, such as our assumptions and our risks. The log frame also shows how all these elements fit together, what we call the causal relationships, the internal logic of the log frame, which tells us that certain preconditions have to be met. There are certain things in the external world that have to be true before we can begin. And then if we have our inputs, we can carry out our activities. Now, our activities will lead to outputs. That's within our control. But then we have to consider again the external environment. And we will have some assumptions at the output level that need to be true in order for our outputs to create the outcome. And again, at the outcome level, there will be further external factors to consider that need to be true before the outcome contributes to the impact. Okay, this looks a little bit sciencey. It looks a bit more like something that you would see in a maths or physics class than sociology. But please don't worry if this is unfamiliar. By the end of this section, this whole introduction to logical framework, you'll understand what this diagram means and how everything fits together. In the next few videos, we're going to look at the different columns one by one, and we'll wrap up also by looking at how we create a logical framework. What are the steps of the logical framework approach?